Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar on IBM Cloud Pak for Data as a Service, Simplifying Data in AI. My name is Nabil Nazir. I'm a Senior Account Manager at Newcomp Analytics, and I will be your host today. We have a great session lined up for you, and we hope that you'll find the presentation informative and useful. To start off, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics. Today's webinar is being recorded. We will be able to share a link with you to the recording as well as the presentation slides after the event is complete. We welcome you to revisit the content yourself and share it with your colleagues. We also invite your comments and questions, so you can look at the questions chat box within the control panel on your screen. If you do think of a question for the speakers at any point, just type it in the questions box and I will pose it to our speaker at the end of the presentation. For those that just joined us, welcome to today's webinar. So your main presenter today is Philip Draskovic, information architecture domain expert from IBM Canada, with deep experience in the IBM Cloud Pak for Data platform. And obviously, as I mentioned, I will be your host for today's session. Before getting into our webinar topic today, I would like to take a few minutes to introduce Newcomp Analytics for those who do not know who we are. We are a dedicated analytics practice with over hundreds of successful project implementations and satisfied clients across Canada, the United States, and the Caribbean. We hold strategic partnerships with key technology vendors, and we are an IBM Platinum Business Partner in Canada, certified in data science, business analytics, hybrid data management, as well as unified governance and integration. We have offices across Canada, including Toronto and Calgary. In the US, we are located in Radley, California, and in the Caribbean, we are located out of the Bahamas. We bring data analytics blueprints, models, and experience from over 15 industries across Canada, the US, and the Caribbean, and that includes the public sector, banking, retail, manufacturing, CPG, insurance, telco, oil and gas, education, and more. We have an impressive team of certified developers, consultants, and senior professionals with multiple years of experience within the data and analytics space, and always adding value to our clients' businesses. We focus on what we call the 5 pillars of analytics, and those include BI and data visualization, where we build solutions for reporting and analytics, financial planning and analytics targeted at the Office of Finance for budgeting, planning, and forecasting, AI and machine learning, where we use data science, machine learning algorithms, and artificial intelligence to solve critical business problems, data management and governance, where we support our clients with building structures and processes to store, manage, govern, and ensure the quality of data assets. And finally, open source analytics, where we use solutions like R and Python for data science. So we do have deep expertise and experience in those 5 areas. We offer a wide variety of services, including advisory, professional development, training, and mentoring. I have to mention that we are one of IBM's leading providers of training for data and analytics in North America and the Caribbean. We also offer analytic roadmaps, manage analytics services, where we take care of your entire analytics environment as well as your changing needs. And finally, we also support our clients with IBM software licensing and renewals. Our service models are flexible to fit your organization. So we have a hybrid project approach, which is the typical client and consulting team. And this can be managed by you, our client, or by us at Newcomp. We build a proof of concept where you would share some data or a business case with us, and we'll prove the idea before you make any significant investments. We aim to be your trusted advisor. We teach clients to think like us, allowing them to build and grow their analytics deployment. Our remote engagement model allows you to have access to our team across North America and the Caribbean, and enables us to provide you with more options and faster responses. We do focus a lot on enablement. We help clients get their new initiatives off the ground, whether it's from a needs assessment or analytics roadmap, all the way to end-to-end implementation. Our support model is highly flexible. You have the option of selecting prepaid support buckets, as well as get on-demand support. So that covers our introduction to Newcomp Analytics, and now we will dive right into the topic of today's webinar. So with that, I'm going to hand it over the floor to Philip, who's going to be presenting today. So Philip, it's all yours.
Thanks very much, Nabil. I'm just going to take control here so I can show my screen. There we go. And there we go. So the screen we're going to share. A second. All right, you should be able to see my screen right now.
I think we can. So we can see the. Yeah, we can see the browser. I think Philip.
It says welcome, Philip.
Welcome, Philip. Yeah, that's the one.
All right, just want to make sure it's the right screen, and I'm going to do my slide share right now. Okay, great. Well, thanks. Now that we got the screen share, okay. Thank you everybody for your time today, and thank you to Newcomp for inviting me to present at today's session. So what I wanted to do is give you a little bit of IBM's point of view, and what we think is happening right now, especially with the past year and a half, and the significant shift that's happening in the way the companies work. Not only that, this shift and change, started happening even before the current kind of situation we all find ourselves in with the pandemic and everything else. But what we've noticed and kind of where we're coming from is that companies are not necessarily becoming technology companies or more technological companies throughout this last several years, but what we think is that they're becoming more data companies, right? So it's the actual companies that are now trying to see how can we monetize, how we can monetize that enterprise knowledge, to keep constantly redefining our customer experience. If we're, in a customer service business, or if we're making things, making products, how do we redefine our product experience or our product development or services, right? Really what we're doing through that process is we're transforming, how our industries are working, depending on which industry you're in. So so what we wanted to cover off today is really introduce you to how IBM believes that these new data companies, and we all kind of data companies today, will be able to accelerate that value and time to value it takes to monetize their data, and what that really means, how long and how quickly they can actually derive insights from their enterprise data. It's the whole point is that instead of taking 6 months, it should be 6 weeks, right? Because in 6 months the business has changed or things have changed, and we kind of witnessed that over the last year and a half, as we can see what's happening in the marketplace. So I want to take you through that, and I want to take you through kind of the IBM's vision of that. So as we kind of get ready, a couple of things, if maybe you can also find some similarities in the way that your business works, right? So the reality of today's data operations or day-to-day business challenges is that we have a lot of different operating or call it systems of record, right? And these could be systems that are our ERP systems. Then we have a lot of potential customer relationship management systems. And in between, we have a lot of jumble, a lot of integration, and a lot of work that happens to make the data correlated, linked, cleaned, secure at the same time. And then we have a variety of different BI tools or analytics tools to get that value out of the data, right? So in reality, the picture is something like this, right? And throughout all of this, we're dealing with several different aspects of data and its transformation, the journey that the data takes to actually get into the hand of the business user, or if I'm oversimplifying it, the decision maker, or the person who's going to try to gain some insight out of that data, and we want to provide that insight to them, but we want to provide it very quick and so they can make a decision in a timely manner. So think about it, when you're building a solutions today from a data and AI perspective, you're dealing with several aspects of that data journey. You're talking about data acquisition or collection of data. Sometimes you want to collect the data live and you don't have time to store it or transform it. Sometimes because data is coming from 5 or 10 different systems, you got to land it somewhere first. You may need to do some cleaning of the data, some management of the data. Then you need to organize it or prepare it for analytics. And then potentially you have to enrich it. And enrichment comes from the ability to go in and add some of that AI or infuse AI through your data into your data, and then basically present it or visualize it to the end user who needs to make that decision, right? So that's a journey that the data has to take. So through that journey, we believe, and the way we see the world is within data and AI, is that we actually have 4 different ecosystems that have emerged within data and AI, and they kind of cover this journey to AI, or what we also call AI ladder, right? So think about it: collecting data, organizing data, then building some analytical applications out of it, and then infusing those applications into your day-to-day business processes. So it's kind of what we call our ladder to AI. So to get there, to kind of finish the whole journey, there are vendors like IBM that deal with different data ecosystems, or there are vendors who are niche and then just deal with one component or one subsystem of one ecosystem. So think just data virtualization, and that's only what one vendor can do. While vendors like IBM and similar potentially play in a lot of different areas and can provide end-to-end solutions for your data and AI needs. So when we think about data and AI and these 4 ecosystems, here's how we define them. The one is simply, if I'm oversimplifying, I will call it data storage, right? So a fancier term is data persistence ecosystem, and it doesn't really matter if the data is transactional. It could be now analytical, and in some cases we need data that's structured or unstructured. In some cases we just need data in flight because we don't have time to store it. And we need to analyze it or capture it in flight and do something with it in flight. And so, really, what's going to differentiate, from a maturity of the ecosystem is, how many of these different types of data persistence solutions you're actually using. Basic would be your standard transactional system, and that's what we have to work with. And as you kind of mature and you're getting into streaming and IoT type of data feeds, it becomes more comprehensive and more complicated, right? So solutions exist at each level, and there are vendors like IBM that offer solution, for each component or subcomponent of this data persistence ecosystem. The next one is what we want to call, or we call, data fabric. I also call it data potentially organization or data management type of an ecosystem, right? So this is where you want to transform the data in every shape form. What does that mean? Well, in some cases, first, in order for your data to be useful, you have to make sure the data quality is managed. To do that, you not only have to first do data classifications, data discovery, then data classification. You have to monitor the data quality, then address it, fix it, right? And then you have to do some data transformation to prep the data. So all of the aspects of data quality and data governance, master data management, classical ETL or ELT, and then do you actually have the capability to, at any given point in time, know exactly all of the work that's been done on your data, all the journey the data has taken, which really leads us to data lineage, right? And of course, sometimes it's costly to actually land data. It's costly to acquire data and store it somewhere, costly from time perspective. The storage perspective potentially exposes you to different security risks. So there is an ever popular now emergence of data virtualization as the required kind of a part of your data fabric or your data operations, right? So leave data where it is and just merge it with other data that you left where it is, but make it presentable to the end user like it's all one database and on one source of data that they can take advantage of as a business user or data scientist or a data engineer, and it's prepping the data for somebody else. Again, this is another type of ecosystem that we have niche vendors or vendors like IBM that offer full stack and serve the whole ecosystem. And then we get into a wide term called data science ecosystem, and this is where we have anything from classic BI to call it forecasting, budgeting, planning solutions, to data visualization solutions, to actually some data science. And the system that I like to call here is everything that has a UI, right? So it's kind of a making me citizen data scientist, meaning that I don't need to code necessarily, but I can use the tools and I can build models. So this is kind of where I can enrich that data, but necessarily like myself, I don't have to be a coder per se, right? So those are kind of the types of solutions and software that actually fits into this this kind of ecosystem classification, and it is broadly termed data science. It's that data enrichment component that I mentioned earlier. Now, each of these three data ecosystems has its own footing or its own version of open source equivalent, right? Which some of you probably already using or embracing, but of course, it's one thing that we need to have available, especially if we're putting things into production, is these open source solutions have to have enterprise level support, but they also are present throughout all other three ecosystems as well, right? So all of these are there, but we kind of all call them part of the a separate ecosystem, and it couldn't be free, but it can also be coupled with enterprise level support, in which case, you know, you're paying for the actual support of it. But all of those four different ecosystems have something in common. We believe you need them all as part of your full journey, the whole data and AI lifecycle. And it's very difficult to create solutions in a timely manner and have a quick time to value if you have to assemble basically pieces of this from different vendors, because you're buying maybe your preferred data storage, you're buying preferred ETL tool, preferred data virtualization tool, preferred data science tool, BI tool, budgeting tool, and then you still need some open source for some things because maybe that's what your data scientist likes or prefers, or just basically cost of acquisition was low. So imagine integrating all of those components and to make a solution, and then dealing with maintenance of that solution, dealing with what if you have to upgrade a certain software, what if there's you know, kind of a domino effect in some cases, and you have to worry about cause and effect when things change with one component of your whole system. Because of that, and because of that integration, and it takes months, that's why it takes 6 months or 12 months to develop solutions in these days, is we believe as IBM that all of those ecosystems cannot be handled or should not be separate. They all belong into single data and AI platform. That data and AI platform is what we call an enterprise insights platform that marries all of these four different ecosystems. And this is what, from a commercial standpoint, we call our IBM Cloud Pak for data offering. So enterprise insights platform, AKA IBM Cloud Pak for data, which more and more becomes a common platform where our clients and organizations share and create their knowledge, insights, predictions, optimizations using all of the data, enterprise data sources. So it's a kind of one-stop shop where you go to find your data regardless where it is, and you use it to shop for data, and you use it to then do something with the data and start your analytics projects. So doing the full cycle of collection of data, data prep, data insights, and then pushing that out into the business applications and business processes. And this platform is as crucial as your ERP or CRM platforms today, right? Because they all have specific purpose, and they may have some analytical capabilities, but they are sitting siloed within their own world, which means how do you marry data from an ERP and CRM and OMS systems? You use the Enterprise Insights platform to do this. So this platform, which was now about, it launched several years ago, but it's getting updates as we speak, and we're about to release the latest version of it at the end of June. All of these four ecosystems are now grouped into that one platform, and not only are they utilizing best of breed from IBM and current potentially IBM software you're using already, but it's also embracing all of the open source and all of the best of breed OEM technologies that IBM partnered with to make part of the platform, right? And all of this is running pre-integrated, which is the key message, key component to kind of take away from today's presentation, is that out of the box, all runs pre-integrated and works together and shares the common data access layer and security and integration, right? So it's a naturally integrated enterprise insights platform and runs everything out of the box. Which means it shares all the scalability and administration kind of aspects that you would require. It has all the data persistence. So and again, you can pick and choose what you need, meaning that you don't need everything from a data persistence layer. You may just need a data mart, or you may just need a NoSQL database, or maybe you need a combination of both, or you don't need any because all of the data is too costly to move. So what you're going to do is just use virtualization, right? And again, the governance and data lineage is very important, which leads you into all the data science, which is all the data prep and all of the infusing of the AI into your data, into the delivery kind of the insights to your business users, right? So that is kind of the approach that IBM is taking, right? It's a simple idea. We want to be able to run this anywhere, which means regardless of where you want to run it. It's co-located wherever your infrastructure investments are. And but it also will deploy on any cloud infrastructure of your choice, or if you're already committed to a specific cloud infrastructure. And really the purpose of today's call as well is to say, sometimes you don't want to worry about where to run it and how to run it or to manage it. And this is why the market shift is also going into giving you all this end-to-end capability for data and AI out of the box as a managed service, meaning it's going to run as a software as a service, and you don't have to worry about any of the ways to run it, because skill set is sometimes scarce. You don't have to, or the cost of the infrastructure is a question mark, and also maybe you're not committed to a specific cloud provider, and you just don't want to worry about the cost of actually running the infrastructure and managing the operating system level kind of tasks that normally come with managing the environments. So that's why all of this is also available as a service. Okay. So again, for any customer, for any of you who are on the call today and have an existing investment in IBM technology, all of the existing investments you have are the entry points into what we call modernization, which means you can actually take advantage of your current investment to get into and fill in the gaps with this platform where the gaps exist today. So whether you are, let's say in this case, a database customer of IBM, you can keep the existing tool, you can modernize it, but you can also gain access through your current DB2 investment to fill in the gaps for any of the component of the ecosystem that you're missing today, because you may be already using an ETL solution, maybe you already have a data science solution, or your developers are using a specific platform, but you're missing something. Maybe you're missing the data fabric, you're missing collecting all the data, or you're missing the data governance component. So you can take advantage of your existing investments to gain access to the component that you need that kind of plugs in seamlessly to the rest of the stack that you have today, and fills that gap, right? So as I said, it fits into any kind of a scenario, and really what the market is asked is that everybody's more shifting into a fully managed as a service environment, so that at the business unit level, these services can be procured without having to worry too much about, do we have the infrastructure, do we have a skill set that's going to manage and run this for us, can we quickly onboard and can we quickly deliver value, right? So that's why I said that this allows us to deliver solutions in a more agile manner, in 6 weeks versus 6 months and things like that, right? That's really what the goal of IBM is, to provide that time to value to be much faster and quicker, of course, turnaround. That's why there are multiple form factors that we deliver this new Enterprise Insights platform in. So regardless of how you want to run it, it is available and it can support whatever infrastructure you desire. That's really the introduction, and what I wanted to do now is basically jump into a little bit of a show and tell and a little bit of a demo of the environment, so you can kind of see how easy it is to get into and organize your analytical project and really take care of any of the kind of rungs on that, what we call AI ladder. What I mean by that is if you needed to deal with collecting data, organizing data, analyzing or infusing it, you can do it kind of all in one spot and taking advantage of either IBM technology, open source technology, or what we call OEM, meaning that it's technology that IBM partnered with, or the partners or the vendors that IBM partner with have committed to basically providing their technology and supporting it and embedding it into our platform. So you can take best of both worlds, right? So that's kind of what we're going to be covering off today. I'm just going to pause before I jump in and give you a little bit of an overview of the platform. And Nabil, are there any questions from anybody in the audience today?
No questions so far, Philip. I think you can carry on.
Awesome. Can you still see my screen, Nabil? And
Yeah,
you can now see the browser? Okay.
Wait, welcome, Philip. Yeah.
Awesome. So from a actual environment perspective, the IBM Cloud Pak for Data as a Service, you can start on it today. So it's available for any client to take a tour and basically get the introduction to it. So it's a free to start, like any kind of cloud service. But of course, this one is very data and analytics focused, right? And you can go through the tour and sign up with your IBM ID. If you're an existing IBM customer or anybody else with your email address, you can kind of get access and kind of start exploring it the way I'm going to show it to you today. The gist of the capability and really a differentiator for this service is that you can have and work with different aspects and needs that you have. So all the administration is done from the same spot, and all the services are managed from the one spot. And of course, depending on what your needs are or what you're trying to do, you can have different kinds of projects. These projects could be analytic projects, they could be data quality or data transformation projects, or they could be data governance projects. You can have one or more data catalogs where you can catalog and expose the metadata and search for data type of capabilities to your end users, right? And you can have a full data governance portfolio available to you. And then of course, when we get into the actual data and project aspect of it, you have full aspect of all the full assortment of all the analytical project capabilities at your fingertips. So if I just go into the projects, I'm going to jump into them and show you a little bit of overview of how an analytical project looks like in this environment. So if I just go into my simple demo project, you will notice that each project consists of not normal, of course, overview. You can see exactly who has access. You can see the recent activity, so full traceability of what has been done with your data or with your data assets and who are the collaborators. The project assets are split in a number of different categories, right? So of course, everything starts with the data asset. The data asset, when you prototype something, could be a simple file you upload. As you can see, I have an ability here to drop files straight from my desktop if I'm just prototyping something, so I can load them. I can pick them from the files that have been already uploaded by somebody else, or I can pick it from a catalog, right? The catalog is basically already kind of the whatever is available to me that's been pre-connected and pre-approved that I can also include. So notice that those are all my different data assets, and I can explore them, or I can start doing some data refinement if I wanted to do some data prep. Or I can what I can do is basically move them down the line and actually make them available to other people if they want to use them. Then we get into some of the data science type of building if we need to, right? If we're not ready to go there right yet because we need to do some a bit more heavier data lifting, I have different data refinery flows I can build, which means I can schedule some data prep or even ETL jobs that can be run and deployed because I have different types of environments that are kind of available to me, right? So whether it's a ETL type of environment that I can decide how much compute I want to dedicate to, or it's some, if you like to use R code or Python, and more of a kind of a data science approach, and you need specific types of servers, those are all going to be available to you, because you can go in and see what's available, what you can pick from, or you can actually define the new environment if none of the ones that are kind of pre-approved or pre-generated for you will be suitable for your needs. Once the data is prepped, then I can start building my models. I can use some of the features that I have available within the environment to create my pipeline candidates, right? And I can convert them into either models and or notebooks if I wanted to use a specific type of code, or if I wanted to use RStudio or Python code. All of this is easy to add. I'm kind of showing you how it's all organized, right? If it's machine learning added, any decision optimization code, or if I'm just visualizing data and building analytical projects, these are my ability to do that as well. Notice when I'm adding to the project, I can add any of these types of asset types, and it doesn't matter if it's a pure machine learning or kind of an AI type of a project, or it's just a simple analytical project where I'm going to connect the data and I'm going to do some data prep and then visualize it and then expose that in a matter of a dashboard or report. All of those are kind of available to me in my project, right? So as I'm organizing my assets, as I'm adding things to the project, all of it's going to be organized in my assets tab. Then I have my environments, which basically are telling me, what am I using, what am I consuming. One of the big things and differentiators here is that, there's a big red button, right? I don't know, a lot of times if you're using certain cloud technology, you could have a runaway environment or a runaway script that's consuming a lot of call it cloud credits, right? This is where you basically have a full view of what's going on and what's being consumed, and ability, of course, to see who's running it, and you can stop it. You can put governors and different things, because you have a full kind of administration capability to actually take care of the of those type of kind of concerns that you have, right? Of course, then I have all the jobs that are running, or they're going to be scheduled, whether they are actual machine learning jobs or data transformation jobs, right? So it depends what they are. And of course, then I have deployment. So if I have any machine learning projects that are deployed, and access control, meaning who am I giving access to and who are my collaborators and what type of a collaborator they are, right? So these are all the different types of settings that I have, decides where the storage is, the services that I'm running on, and of course, this is where you can do a lot of integration with any source code control and things like that, right? So that's really the beauty of running analytics projects from a single environment, where you can kind of handle everything all in one spot and have visibility to all of it end to end, from storage to data prep, data collection, data enrichment, to actually now deploying any AI models or predictive models, and then be able to monitor them and optimize them, right? So that's all kind of available in the actual one-stop shop, and all available as a service, and bootable and ready, within a matter of minutes, versus installation and maintenance. All the new features, are same as any other as a service offering that you would have, meaning that it gets automatically upgraded as the new service becomes available. The global search is available for you to search all the catalogs, all the projects, right? So depending on what you're looking for, you'll be able to do those searches, and all of the alerts and notifications and workflow capabilities are able to be deployed at the same time. So you can kind of really fit into any type of analytical project. For you, as if you wanted to get a sense of this and art of the possible, when you sign up for free and start exploring it, what I recommend that you do is basically start a new project, and instead of doing an empty project, which is good if you want to kind of use your own data and play with it, you can actually start from some samples, and depending on which industry you're coming from, I hope that one of the samples is actually going to satisfy some of the initial use cases and curiosity for you, so you can actually use them, right? So as you can see, we have things for hydro utilities type of a customer, insurance, financial markets, Oops, I wanted to kind of show you everything before I click on one of them. There's a lot of kind of a customer service, marketing type of use cases, healthcare, some COVID type of kind of a current topic related projects, right? Some weather projects, some additional ones that are dealing with pricing. As you can see, more utilities, all of these are what we call samples that take a lot of different assets that I just showed you and then kind of give them to you in a pre-package with a sample data so you can learn from them, and potentially you can use them as an accelerator to speed up some of your use cases or kind of modify them so that you can start taking advantage of them pretty quickly. Okay, so that's really the way any of these would start. So if I go in, you'll notice that you know what kind of a project it is, what does it actually what use case does it fit, and at the same time we want which services it's using, right? So you can deploy the services and decide how you want to structure your project. All of that is available kind of at your fingertips. As we talk about the use cases and in kind of where you can start, just you know, kind of a little bit of a summary. What really we're talking about here is two major use cases, like at the high level, is anything to do with the automation of your AI lifecycle, or what we would like to call data fabric, right? So data operations use case, right? So the use cases that this will cover is anything to do with provisioning databases as a service, anything to do with the self-service and safe and self-service access to enterprise data, anything with the governance of AI, right? So meaning that, you know, do you know, it's becoming a popular topic, is do you know, you know, are your models biased? Do you need to monitor them for specific bias or accuracy or drift? Any business automation, and anything to managing cloud data lakes. Are there any additional quick business use cases, I should say business scenarios or pain points that you have to resolve, and you don't have time to scope out the infrastructure and the software and different types of software you need to do, and you maybe just want to turn it on for a few weeks, resolve, and then kind of shut it down. So those are all the capabilities that you can actually explore with this, right? If we go into the details, of course, automated lifecycle again talks about everything that I just mentioned, everything from collecting data, refining it, building your models, training them, and then operationalizing them, right? So putting them into production and then monitoring or training them, all from one spot. From a data ops or data fabric is being able to basically catalog all of your enterprise data, regardless where it is, being able to start governing it, starting to be able to link your business terms to those data assets you have, and then basically being able to enforce any kind of data protection rules. Also being able to assess risk from a compliance perspective, and then being able to provide that self-service of that data and data request capability for any type of a user, whether that user is a data scientist, a business analyst, you know, let's call them data consumers, right? And being able to give them that self-service to find and deploy or use data for their own usages. Those are all the types of use cases that you can think of that are serviced by this Cloud Pak as a service offering from IBM. Hope that all makes sense. I'm going to pause again and see if there are any questions, specific things that we can address as we kind of go through the presentation.
I don't see any questions, Philip, but I do have a question for you. So if, as an example, I think you've done a great job here of walking us through the platform itself. But if as an example, like if we provision a service on Cloud Pak for data, let's just say data preparation, and we decide that, you know, we want to cancel that service at some point and reallocate the credits that we've paid for to another service, like data science, as an example, are we able to do that? Is that something that's possible?
Oh, you know, that's a great question, Nabil, for sure. Yeah. So the whole point of the Cloud Pak as a service is that you can easily and quickly, for lack of a better word, change your mind or change gears, right? Because you thought of something and then all of a sudden, let's say you started on a project and you thought that you're only going to need a certain thing, certain service, and then all of a sudden, halfway down the project, you realize, oh shoot, we need actually another service or software, and instead of going and having to procure that software, you basically just provision it from the catalog that's available here, that will basically is going to be available to you at the moment's notice, and can be activated within minutes, right? So what I mean by that is all of the services in the catalog are interchangeable. So you don't, if you commit to one, you can turn it off and direct the funds to something else. So basically, you're not buying any more specific software. What you're buying is almost like a gift card that you can use towards various different services, and some of them are unique to IBM. Whether it's a chatbot, whether it's the web crawler or crawler of documents, right? So depending what you need, right, you can spend those credits and switch gears. You may be starting with one type of database, and then you say, well, that's not the database we need. We're going to be much better served with a different type of database, because we just realized the data that we're dealing with is different. Go from SQL, NoSQL, or it's more appropriate for IoT. So you can actually switch, right? When talk about integration, again, are you talking about streaming data, or are you talking about just regular ETL and ingestion? And then we get into analytics. So do we need analytics engine? Do we need to actually do some data deduplication in a different systems that I'm connecting to, or do I just need to visualize data with a simple dashboard, right? And then of course, getting into AI and machine learning, all of those are kind of part of the portfolio. So really a good point that you can actually direct the spend to something else if you find that your original choice wasn't ideal for your project. You can add or switch kind of on the fly.
That's great. Yeah, it's really great that IBM obviously offers that flexibility. And I have another question for you. So what kind of skill sets would an organization require to be able to manage the IBM Cloud Pak for data as a service solution?
That's a common question we get, especially because in the initial releases of Cloud Pak for data, that you can run on any of the platforms, a certain skill set was required, because we're talking about containerized platforms and everything that takes all the kind of resources required to manage a containerized platform, regardless from which cloud provider infrastructure you're actually running, or if you're running on-prem. However, when we deliver Cloud Pak for data as a service, the skill set is the same skill set you would normally have from your business users, because they don't have to worry about managing things. So the same type of a skill set they already have in-house is sufficient to basically start using the services. So if you're already like an open source developer, you will not have any problem starting to use the projects to kind of and even port some of your code into the analytic project and just deploy it using, let's say, Watson machine learning. And then at the same time, the only let's call it a learning curve for you would be is that if you are deploying the actual project, if you want to monitor it, it could be a certain feature that you're not used to, because today you're monitoring your productionized models manually, right? But if you wanted to automate it, well, you're going to learn a certain new service or skill set. So that would be something like IBM's OpenScale, which is a pretty unique offering that that's the kind of like learning any other software. But as far as going in from any cloud environment to Cloud Pak for Data as a service, all the skill sets are transferable, right? Because this is meant for the business user. And you don't have to be an IT developer or architect to actually be able to manage or run this, right? So it's very suitable for departmental use, prototyping, quick POCs, right? The only time you would have to involve, let's say, the your IT folks is when you need to actually connect to your enterprise data sources, like set up a VPN, secure network, and all these other things. That's a normal thing that you would require. But as far as the actual using and developing analytics projects, the skill set you currently have should be sufficient. And if you need to complement or have a specific, let's say, a data scientist user, this is where partners like Newcomp come in to augment the staffing you need to help you kind of kickstart your projects and kind of teach you how to fish, really, right? So that's kind of the preferred approach, right? They collaborate on the first project, and then hopefully after that, all of the internal folks are enabled, and they can take on and develop other projects and address the specific use cases.
That's great. Thanks, Philip. No further questions on my end, and I don't see any questions from our attendees as well.
Okay, well, Nabil, then if you want, what we can offer to everybody really, at the end of today is really the invite to come and explore the environment, connect with Nabil and his Newcomp colleagues to give you the tour, maybe prototype or pilot a use case to see if it's a good fit for you. And I'm sure, Nabil, you can provide that the slides from today, and as well as the link to the platform, so everybody can kind of be walked through it. And those kind of one of those kind of next steps that we invite everybody to do is connect with your Newcomp rep, and Nabil and Alexandra will be happy to help you out with that, right? And Nabil, if you want to, if there's no other questions, feel free to wrap it up. And again, I'm available for any questions or follow-ups after the call.
Sounds good. Thanks, Philip. I'm just going to quickly share my screen here. I just have a couple of slides before I let you all go. So as an IBM Platinum partner, we offer a series of courses for IBM Cloud Pak for Data, and we do offer them in multiple formats like instructor-led online, where you'll obviously have access to an instructor that's going to be teaching you the course with exercises and labs. We do also offer self-paced virtual courses where you could sign up for the course and complete it in your own time without an instructor within 30 days, right? And when I share the slide deck with you, you'll obviously have the links to those courses, including the contact information for our training team. We also offer like analytics boot camps, which are half-day one-on-one sessions with one of our experts and your organization, where we help you learn various topics like APIs, data lakes, machine learning, and tools for working with today's data environment. And once again, here you can sign up through the link when we actually send you the slide deck. And then lastly, we are running an ongoing event which we call Newcomp Office Hours, where you can book like a complimentary 1-hour session with our experts and essentially bring your data and analytics use cases or challenges to discuss and brainstorm. Our only requirement for this complimentary hour is that we expect about 4 or more people from your team to join for that 1-hour interval so that everybody can benefit from it. And you can, once again, you can book that session here when we send you the slide deck. So with that brings us to the end of today's webinar. Thank you so much, Philip, for the great presentation and the nice walkthrough of IBM Cloud Pak for Data as a Service. As a reminder, we will be sharing the recording of today's webinar with you, so you will get an email from me. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions at that time. And once again, thank you everyone for joining, and stay safe.